And take your browser over to supertalktv.com. You'll see I'm not alone in the studio today. We've got a great story to unpack for you and share. Joining me is Bill Clark. He's Mississippi musician extraordinaire. He brought along a friend, Glen Stern, and together they're trying to put together resources to do a musical here in the Jackson area with someone you all are probably familiar with, and that would be Mr. Johnny Carson. So,
is that not interesting?
Is that not interesting, Mr. Bill? When I got an email from you that said, I got a story that I think your Good Things listeners would like to hear, I said, tell me a little more. And I had no idea that Johnny Carson attended college here in Jackson, Mississippi at Millsaps.
When he was in the Navy had a program called the V-12 program. It morphed into the ROTC. Mm-hmm. And the Navy sent Johnny to Millsaps College. And so that was in the early 40s. And I was in a store and I saw a book that was written by Henry Bushkin, who was Johnny's longtime attorney. I picked up the book and started reading the flyleaf, and I said, I've got to have this. And let me see if I've got $29.95 in my pocket. And so anyway, I bought the book and went home and started reading the book and became totally enamored with the book.
Was this just about his life or his time here in Jackson?
Yes, and Henry was Johnny's attorney for 18-plus years. His attorney, agent, fixer, Glenn. We have Glen Stern, as you said, in the studio with us. And but anyway, I reached out to Henry through Facebook, private messaged him on Facebook, just simply to tell him how much I had enjoyed the book and was enjoying the book. And he responded in just a courteous kind of way and thanked me. And he was in Manhattan. I thought he was actually on the West Coast at that time, but he lived in Manhattan. That ended that. A number of weeks later, I was watching election returns one night, and it was the night Michael Guest was elected the first time. And I thought I'd stay and see how long I could tolerate Jimmy Fallon. And being my age, it wasn't long, I can tell you right now. So I'm sitting there bemoaning the fact that we didn't have a Johnny Carson. And I do a Facebook post about that. And people started responding from places outside my normal folks and locations that my normal respondees would be. And I'm thinking, where's this coming from? And then I realized that Henry and I had become Facebook friends. These were Henry's friends. And he responded, and just to kind of to encapsulate it, I suppose, Henry and I developed a friendship. And he reached out to me telling me about a project that he was interested in, and he and a co-writer were writing a musical about Johnny. And he had come up with the idea of premiering it in Jackson at Millsaps because of Johnny's tie-in to Millsaps. And because he had found some legs, he thought, with me that might be able to help him open some doors. So that in a thumbnail sketch is what has brought us here, and that was began about 4 years ago.
I was going to say, when did all this first sort of transpire? Forgive me, Michael Guest, I can't remember when you first got elected, because you kind of gave us a midpoint there.
Right.
But usually these type of things do have to sort of simmer and merge, and all the pieces have to come together. Well, one of the good pieces that came together was Glen Stern. So how did the two of you meet?
Glen is a friend of Henry's. Henry has known Glen his entire life, and so he tapped Glen, who lives in Huntington Beach, California, to come in and survey the area. Glen has a background in the industry in California. So that's why Glen. Hello, Glen.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Well, this is exciting. This brought you to Mississippi. Is this your first time to the Magnolia State?
It is not. I spent a lot of time here in the mid-'80s with garment companies. You had a lot of garment companies here, and I was involved in the garment industry for 30-plus years. And as that evaporated and went into overseas production, I chose to chase music and production and music. And
more fun.
More fun. It's what I love, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my minutes. And I've just kind of morphed myself into that and find opportunity and ways to create a living and opportunity in that space.
So I have to say, your friend Henry, who is the connection between you and Bill, when he came to you and was like, this man from Mississippi messaged me on Facebook about Johnny Carson.
Well, it didn't quite. He didn't go like that. I was in New York City, and we were having dinner, and I was showing what I'm doing in California. And, he was there when I was born. My dad and him were great friends and business partners for a long time. I grew up with Henry. I called him Uncle, and him and his son Scott and I are very good friends. And I was telling him what I do in production. He was telling me about the play that he's writing. I asked him if he needed any help with the music, that I could help him. And I got back to California, and he called and asked me to help him with the show in music. I then made one phone call to a guy named Tom Brooks, who is Alan Parsons' music director. And Tom Brooks is a Grammy-winning composer, orchestrator, writer. He's a genius in music, and he was very excited about the project, and he's getting all of his Grammy guys in the mix, and so the music was taken care of. And Henry thought I was pretty good with that in one phone call, so he gave me the rest of the project to do, other than the writing and the music.
Does the project have a name yet, or is it still kind of?
It's called Here's Johnny, and it's about a weekend that takes place in 1979 at the Waldorf Astoria, when Johnny received the Entertainer of the Year award from the Friars Club, and all the icons of the day came to honor with him at the Waldorf. So you had Robin Williams and Lucille Ball and Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis and all these great icons that built entertainment as we know it, honoring the star of stars. Johnny was a very unique entertainer. He was a magician. He was a comedian. He was a singer. He was a dancer, and the greatest talk show host to ever live. And it's
Thanks.
a great. But
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm totally kidding. No, I mean, so the musical Here's Johnny is based off an actual, I guess, event that happened.
Yes.
So of all the things to do, and normally when you have someone as legendary as Johnny, I mean, you have I'm sure there's already documentaries. Obviously, there's books. Bill, you picked one up, or even thought of to do a movie based on his life. Very few legends have musicals.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like when Henry was thinking of a way of maybe sharing his friend and, business associate's story, how did even like a musical come into play?
It's just a dynamic thing based on the character that we're dealing with. I mean, Johnny Carson entertained the greatest entertainers of the world. They had them on their show. They were musicians, they were dancers, they were comedians, they were actors, they were all of these things. And a musical combines that. A musical gives us a space to present all of those things that form of entertainment gave us back then.
And Henry is quite an innovative guy. And so this musical thing, I'm just injecting this, and I can see how in Henry's innovative mind, he says, let's do something a little different. Let's do a musical, and the idea hit him about Millsaps and Jackson, as I said, because of Johnny's affiliation with Millsaps. And the idea, obviously, is if it works here, it'll work in Las Vegas, and if it works in Las Vegas, it'll work on Broadway. So. We'll save you a front seat if we can be nice to Glenn. He'll hopefully get us a front seat.
We'll probably give away more tickets than we sell.
No, I think this is.
I have a little experience with that.
I think this is a unique way to share an extraordinary entertainer's story. I mean, it's paying honor to all the pieces and parts too that he played every night, and I think a musical is a nice sort of way of sort of doing that in a different way. I think it gets people kind of excited and sort of talking about it. We've already got folks talking on our C Spire text line about their connection with Johnny. I mean, and so when you talk about talk show hosts, remind us, how long did he have The Tonight Show?
30 plus years.
So that's 3 decades of being part of people's lives.
And at a time when there was only 3 channels. So your choices after 10 o'clock were limited. So, the whole world watched Johnny every night.
And I think the whole world will probably come out to watch Here's Johnny, the musical, which could debut right here in Mississippi. We're going to learn more about that project coming up next here on Good Things. And head on over to SuperTalkTV.com. We're finding out more about the musical based on Johnny Carson's life, titled Here's Johnny, that's in the works. And Glen Stern is in Mississippi scouting out potential ways or places or people or habitats and all the things to hopefully maybe have it debuted right here in the capital city. And joining him is Bill Clark, Mississippi musician extraordinaire. And I'm going to start to think of you as like a Facebook coordinator extraordinaire in there. If you miss how they got here, you can always go back and listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts after the show. But okay, so you're here. So Glenn, you made it to Mississippi.
Love it.
The idea of Here's Johnny the Musical is now officially in the works.
Yes.
So when you're here scouting, what are you scouting? I mean, what do you?
Wow,
why are you here?
That's such a big question. It's music's one thing, film's another thing, theater is another thing. Theater is just a constant live performance. It's very intense. So we're looking for basically everything. We want to find all the resources that we need, and some that we don't even know that we need yet. Here in Jackson, it could be casting, the theater itself, the actors, musicians, production,
all the things that you don't even think about
catering,
going into.
all of it, hotels. My thought is we're not going to find everything we need here. If we do, that's great, but we will definitely have to bring some things with us, whether it be equipment or some other.
And that would be from California?
California, maybe some from New York. We have our resources and our partners and everything are both in New York and LA. And Bill here in Jackson, which is very exciting for us because he is a man about the town, and he
knows everybody.
He really does, and he's introduced me to amazing people in just a day. It was an incredible day yesterday, and today we have more of the same, and I'm super excited to meet more people here. They're so nice and.
What I love is, we always see the good headlines about the film industry really growing here in Mississippi. From Natchez to Canton and everywhere in between. And the Mississippi Film Association, I think it is doing a great job. And then when you think about that, and we have a very lively music sort of scene, and theater is the combination of kind of them both, except not on the big screen, sort of on the stage. And why not take advantage of our arts resources here to develop? Because the idea, if I heard Bill right, Glenn, is to develop this here in Mississippi and debut it, and then hopefully expand it to either a residency in Vegas where it belongs, or go on the sort of on the road. And we would be the incubator for that.
Yes, and how proud! It was just a great spot. I mean, this is where Johnny started. He was a young man in the early 40s. He was in the Navy doing his service. Ended up in Jackson, made the best of it. Made lifetime friends here.
What do you mean made the best of it? This was paradise.
He made the best of it.
Not everybody feels that way all the time, Bill.
No, I don't mean that in any derogatory way. It's just, he was in Germany. He was stationed in Germany.
He dated a girl.
He was fighting the war.
Yeah. I heard him say that he dated a girl from Pelahatchie. I mean, how much better can that get?
I haven't met one.
You know what? I bet her family line is still here in Mississippi and probably listening to good things. Glenn, we'll connect you at some point before the show's over. That's how Mississippi, such as one big sort of small town. But I do think if you're looking for a hospitable place that is welcoming and ready to sort of lend a helping hand to see a project like this come together,
it's going to take a village. It's going to take the city. It's going to take all of us to do that. 100.
So now I'm thinking in my mind, Glenn, do you have like a checklist that you're going down and sort of trying to fill in the blanks? And then I guess maybe like a timeline that you're looking at?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things on that list for sure. And the timeline is we're looking to go into rehearsals and development in June 1st of 2023. So next June.
It's about a year.
About a little less than a year. On my countdown, it's 302 days or something to Jackson. It's 302.
Fast.
Yeah, it goes
like a
fast.
Freight train.
Every day runs out. I run out of minutes every day. Henry's diligently writing it. Tom's doing the music, and it's up to me to get everything else flowing.
He's the guy hugging an octopus. I mean, he's trying to figure out where to grab the octopus to pull all this together.
You never know where your resources and collaborations are going to come from. So you always keep open. And like last night, I met somebody with my dad's name. It was a really strange thing. But
welcome to Mississippi.
Yeah.
He probably has an ex-girlfriend here, too.
I'm not going to comment on any of that. But yes, super excited. So the summer, next summer, so 2 months of development here, and then look to maybe the early fall to present it to the community and allow them to come see it. There's really no story to it. It's basically an onslaught of comedy, music, dancing. It's at this event, and you're getting the insight because Henry is the insight to that. Henry was the buffer for Johnny between the executives, between the stars, between the guests. Johnny filtered all that out, and so he knows what was going on before and after and during, and that's kind of where he's going. Johnny's mom and ex-wives are in the show. You know, there's just really fun comedic skits that, you know, just belly laugh kind of just real hardcore comedy, old school comedy. And I
would have to think too, the moment that you put a call out, and I don't know how theater necessarily works from the inside out for the musical Here's Johnny, based on Johnny Carson's life, if you're just joining us, you're going to have actors and actresses in the theater world from all over wanting to come to Mississippi for the opera. And here in Mississippi, we can definitely, stack your roster for you. But I would think this would also just be a good draw. I mean, folks, want to come down to New Stage all the time for what they're doing there from New York and around. So I would just think this would be a show of a lifetime for entertainers to want to be a part of.
It is, and it's a built-in audiences too. So we don't have to build our audience. We know what a Rodney Dangerfield does. We know what a Joan Rivers does. So all of these things, the audience already knows. So that helps a lot. And also, the spectrum of Johnny's space is far different than any other entertainer, excuse me. Basically, if you take an actor, you have his little nucleus, or a musician, you have his little nucleus. Johnny has the whole nucleus. He was the epicenter of entertainment. If you were on the Johnny show, you made it. After that,
yeah, but then you're going to have the epicenic too of legends that are there within the show. Like you have Here's Johnny. It's Johnny Carson is the star, but then you're going to have to cast a Lucille Ball.
Very difficult.
You're going to have to cast some of the other big names that you sort of mentioned. I mean, those are legendary, big personalities all in themselves. And so even there can only be one Johnny, which I want to. If it's here in the Jackson metro area, I just want to sit back for the auditions for who thinks that they can be Johnny Carson.
I love it.
But at the same time, it's like, you can only be one Johnny, but then you may have the opportunity to play all these other iconic names.
Yes, and we want them to all come out. Any of your listeners out there that want to get involved in this, please reach out. Pick your topic. If you're good at lighting, if you're good at feeding, if you're good at holding lights, whatever it is, please, we want to contribute and collaborate with you. And find the best talent we can in all of those areas to put on the show.
What is the first piece? Like, what's the foundation, Glenn? You're here in Mississippi, and you're like, I need this foundational component to make Here's Johnny.
One of the big things, a year ago, Millsaps offered Henry, through Liza, their theater for 2 months and the dorms for 2 months in June and July of next year. Or of last year. So we're hoping to get that reestablished for this year.
Because that would be the lodging, that would be the theater to practice.
That would be a big, big thing. And then, yes, and that's a cornerstone. I'm not worried about the food.
Oh, Lord, no.
The food here
You've only been here for 24 hours.
The food is proper.
You can't be hungry.
Yeah, no, the food is, I would definitely eat.
It's interesting to me. He's always asking me, "Where's the Waffle House?"
I ate five times yesterday. Okay, including the Waffle House. I went from Waffle House to a filet mignon at the end of the night
at that table 100.
At table 100, very nice place.
We had a jam session last night, and David Holmes, who is a friend of mine and a drummer, is the David Holmes he's talking about. David plays drums at First Baptist, and a fine drummer. But that's the David Holmes we're talking about. And as you know, I've been on with you before. I do a show, the Musical Extravaganza. Let me just do a little cheap shot and throw my show in. And so with that background, and when Henry saw that, he thought there might be some opportunity that I would have a little feel for it. But at my age, I didn't want to devote that much time, my minute, as you said a while ago. but I was vitally interested. And then with the infusion, if you will, of Glen, that Glen is where, as they say, Glen is where it's at. And
well, he's stirring the pot here in Mississippi for sure.
Absolutely,
Because we got
I can help him open doors.
Asking about how they can fill the spots that maybe you need. So we've got more with the potential musical. Here's Johnny coming up next here on Good Things. Or head on over to SuperTalkTV.com. We are wrapping up our conversation with Bill Clark, Mississippi musician extraordinaire, and Glen Stern, who is here scouting Mississippi for the best places and people and production and all the different components to bring the musical Here's Johnny, based on Johnny Carson's life, to a reality. And if you didn't know the little nugget, the connection to Mississippi is Johnny Carson was a student there at Millsaps College. And we're getting great stories, too, about Johnny Carson and connections here in Mississippi on the C Spire text line. Walt from Hernando shared that he was visiting the metro area for a convention in 2012 at the Marriott, and there was a gentleman shining shoes who had been a personal employee of Johnny Carson for many years. And I feel like there's probably a lot of Mississippi connections to Johnny Carson.
Well, if there are, please speak up and speak out. We want to know you, and we want to talk to you, and we want to bring as much history to this as we can.
When you think about his tenure on The Tonight Show, or the fact that he was an entertainer for 30 plus years, and then you think about we lost Johnny in 2005, which we were talking about, by the time this actually comes to reality, because it'll still take a little time, it'll almost have been 20 years of his passing. So it feels like, this would be a great time to refresh and rebring up his story, and and for those fans that want to get involved. Okay, so Justin from McGee wants to know if you're looking for help, like if they can help with the musical, staff, actors, whatever. How do they get in touch with you? Where do they go to contact you?
Please, the email to get a hold of me is Glen, Glen, at laughstonight.com. LAUGHS tonight, TONIGHT. .com. Glen at laughstonight.com. And I'll be sure to answer you and let me know how you'd like to participate. And maybe here's one more past you. Maybe you know some other people that are interested in theater that you could inform them what we're doing and see if they'd like to get involved. So
if somebody would like to reach out to me, just somebody on a local, just somebody, a local guy, I'm at Bill Clark Live at live.com.
Because this is a passion project to bring this to life. I know, Bill, you heard about this project or you had the book, got the book 4 years ago. How long has this project been in the works, Glen?
Henry's been working on this for a few years, 3-4 years. I've been involved about 3 months. But
wow, you got involved and came straight to Mississippi.
Well, there's no time to waste, so we've got
It's interesting. My perspective is quite interesting because I'll look down and I'll see Henry Bushkin on my phone, and that occurred this morning. I had to slow him down because I needed to go pick you up. But anyway, he was telling me the first 30 minutes or so of the musical, he was explaining to me, will be 2, 3, 4 minute little vignettes introducing Johnny. There'll be
all the characters.
Yeah,
it's 30 minutes of introduction of everybody that was there. A big fanfare.
And they'll be introducing his parents.
Yeah.
Henry tells me, and his brothers, his sons, etc. And then it kind of morph into the dais kind of thing, and so it's just
the second hour will be more of the entertainment and of all of the icons that are there. The first 30 minutes of the show. It's a 90-minute show, so the first 30 minutes will be introducing everyone. You're going to get to know the characters. You're going to get to see what they're doing, getting ready for the event. The parents are in the hotel getting ready. Johnny really doesn't even want to go. He's playing tennis, and he's like, I've got to go do this thing. It turns out he loves it, and it's great, and it's a big night.
So the thing about theater or musical is the fact that you're going to break out into song, or there's going to be music. So
it's going to flash back from the 40s to the 90s.
Okay, so I was like, tell us about the music part.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to, intertwine over 3 decades, at least of his career? I mean, even though he passed in 2005, I mean, that's a lot of different music
That's
genres.
the fun part for me. I'm the music guy. That's my thing.
So how do you intertwine all that?
Well, one song we've kind of decided on so far is "Good to Be King" by Tom Petty. That's one song that will probably be in there. We're writing some original ones with Tom Brooks and his incredible staff, and then we're looking at the American Songbook and looking ways to apply different, because music's how we feel. We could transpire feeling through music, and that's how we're going to tell this show, is through music. And that's actually probably the toughest question of all of it, is matching the music to the show. But Tom Brooks, I'm not worried. And then we have some other great musicians that are involved too, Francois Dean and Ray Gorn and Tamata Gray, and these people tour the world, and they're amazing, gifted artists that are going to work with Tom, and I'm really excited to see what they write and create musically for this show. So they're working with the writer, and the music's getting done with the writing with Henry at the same time.
So has anyone, I can't imagine anyone being asked to be a part of Here's Johnny, the musical based on Johnny Carson's life, would turn you down. So, I mean, is everybody excited about this project?
I'm getting a lot of emails. I get a lot of phone calls. I get a lot of, my friend does this, and that's great. That's really what I want. I'm a music guy, so my background is not necessarily theater or film or anything, but, so I'm reaching to different resources to pull them all together. It's a talent thing, it's an acting thing, it's a music thing, but you don't have to be the best artist, you don't have to be the worst artist. It's just it's about fitting. It's about fitting what the show does, and the casting director and the director and those people will decide what fits best for the project.
You've only been in Mississippi for 24 hours, Glenn.
Yes.
You've already eaten 5 times,
yes.
which I appreciate.
Yes.
And
it was so good.
But you've talked very highly about what you've seen in terms of Mississippian theater, at least here in the metro area.
Amazing.
What are you most surprised by?
Well, we went to Bellhaven's Theater yesterday, which was beautiful, and they had a production room, and then had this great auditorium. And then the one that you mentioned, New Stage, I really like. They put on their own productions. It was one of the first theaters on my list. I'd love to talk to them. I think we were going to talk to them. And doing my pre-game homework here, you have quite a few theaters in town, as well as theater and music departments in all these great colleges. So all this upcoming young, motivated talent is here. They're looking for things to do and create and be part of. So I'm excited to present that to them and see how creative they can get with it.
How old is Johnny in this production?
It was 79. I think somewhere some 40-something. I haven't done the math, but we're going to bounce back.
So you'll need multiple Johnnies.
Well, we're going to film some stuff. We're going to fantasize some stuff. We're going to use a lot of another thing for all the listeners out there. We're looking for technology. We're looking at ways to apply today's technology to the theater and encompass and immerse, lack of a better word, immerse the audience into the event. So we're going to use a lot of projection, mapping, digital mapping, mesh, rear projection, front projection.
All the things.
Holograms,
Oh, can you bring Johnny back?
Well, that's kind of. My thing's Rodney, but I'm looking for Rodney in the hologram. I'm looking for Rodney in the hologram with Johnny. That would be too much. But yeah, so all of those characters, if you're out there and you like goofing, let us know. Send me a tape.
Someone asked who you think could play Doc Severson.
Yes.
Who's Doc Severson?
Doc Severson was
aging myself.
That's okay. He was the band leader, and
is he the one who said, "Here's Johnny"?
No, that's Ed McMahon.
Okay.
Would do that. He would introduce Johnny every night. Doc Severson was with Johnny for a long time. He's a brilliant musician, and he is still on tour. Doc Severson is still playing.
Up in his 90s.
So, yeah, he's up in his 90s. Incredible. And he used to wear these great, big, bright jackets. He was a great personality.
Well, if the musical is called Here's Johnny, then I feel like a pivotal thing will be nailing whoever can say, Here's Johnny.
Unfortunately, we get to use Here's Johnny because it's less than 7 seconds long. So we get to use that
like a little trick.
Yeah, there's a little thing there. So, but yeah, that voice will matter. Ed McMahon will matter. It's a big thing. Joan Rivers is a big part in this show. A very difficult role to play.
Well, I can't wait to follow along with all the different pieces and how they come together. I think it's cool that here at Good Things we get the opportunity to see it as the pieces are coming together, and hopefully we can kind of keep everybody excited and updated on how it moves moving forward. So with that, Bill, you weren't kidding. This was a very interesting story, and I think it's only going to get better. But if those that are just tuning in are still interested in getting connected with Hugh Glenn about the project, here's Johnny, the musical based on Johnny Carson. Remind us that email one more time.
Yes. My name is Glen Stern, and I'm from Empower Logic Studio, and my email is glenn@laughstonight.com.
All righty. Well, I appreciate both of you. Thank you for thinking of me, Mr. Bill. And we're going to keep up with this
Thank you for having us and taking your time. This is amazing.
Yeah. Y'all stick with us. We got a few more good things for you coming up next.